Hello.
This is Dorina
and Deanna
with Bledsoe Empower. Welcome back to our podcast, Empower El Mundo. We are your former collegiate athletes, now trained mental health counselors.
Yes, on this podcast, you can expect to hear about all things total wellness. That is going to include physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual connections. So make sure to tune in every single week because we'll be here.
And we're on all social media platforms. So make sure you follow us and subscribe to Empower El Mundo. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
We're so happy that you guys are tuning into the Empower Up podcast. Welcome back for another episode.
You guys, we got a really dope one. For those of you who are listening, you can't see, but we have a really amazing guest. We're going to introduce him in just a moment. But we're glad that you guys are back.
We are. So this episode, we're going to kind of continue with talking about the amazing journal, Empowered as Phuck. We have one of the coolest names for this title. This episode is called W.A.P. And it's not the W.A.P that you're thinking about, and I need you to get your mind out of the gutter because that's not what we're talking about, okay?
But today we're going to talk about wealth, being wealthy as fuck with a PH on there.
Use those phonetics. Fuck.
Let's just get creative with it. All right, so the reason why we included the W.A.P section in this journal is because wealth and finances absolutely contribute to your mental wellness.
Absolutely. And one thing that we know, especially with this journal focusing and targeting women, is that oftentimes we don't have those types of discussions in our circles. So what we want to do today is bring light to it, talk about different ways of establishing income in different forms, and get a little bit more comfortable with this conversation. And having a guest who has a lot of knowledge and expert in this is going to expand your knowledge. We're so excited. You ready?
Yeah, and let me say this, with finances, sometimes we hear that and we're like, we're not as excited about it, but having money and feeling the experience of being financially free can be creative and it can be a lot of fun.
Ooh, you even saying the word free gave me some power.
Yeah, it's a lot of empowerment when you have needs and you know that the money is not going to stop you from meeting those.
Let's go.
So with that being said, all right, you guys, we have a dope guest. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for coming and subscribing. Do all of that. If you're on the podcast, feel free to go to the YouTube, check us out, see what we look like, put a name to the voice. And without further ado, let's introduce our guest.
Yay!
All right, you guys, Dom Fausette is who we've got here. If you guys haven't met him yet, you're missing out. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Dom is an executive coach and a leadership speaker.
Yes. He also hosts a radio show. What is the name of your show?
Think, React, Lead.
Ooh, yes.
The Think, React, Lead radio show.
Why is that your name?
Think, React, Lead is an acronym that I use. Not acronym. It's a mantra that I used when I was in the military and a cop. Think as an executive, react like a soldier, and lead. It was something that was formulated there, but I didn't start saying it until I got into the corporate space to help my employees make decisions faster because they needed to see something. And for them, that was tangible. And then it went from a mantra to a podcast to a book, a best-selling book, to a radio show, and it's a brand now.
So that's essentially why we wanted to bring Dom here to talk money, because you know how to create streams of income. And little background story. How did we meet Dom? Okay, because we got to get this out. Listen, slid into the DMs.
Right there.
About 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was when Empower El Mundo, we were just getting started on social media, specifically Instagram.
And it wasn't Empowered El Mundo.
It wasn't Empower El Mundo. He helped us with that name.
What was our name?
Our name was Bledsoe Empower. So that's the name of the company. Yeah. And like Dom said, he slid into the DMs trying to give us advice, and he ended up being our mentor and our coach to learn more about ways to establish business using social media and free resources that we really did not know about. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that he pointed out was, you know, you and your sister, you guys are really unique. You're biracial. You come from all these cultures, and being mental health experts, maybe you should have your username be something that's a little bit more alluring to
Mm-hmm.
to other people, viewers, and Empower El Mundo was something that came up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know what that means, it's empower the world because we're here for everybody. Black, white, Spanish speaking, not Spanish speaking, really everybody.
Everybody.
We don't discriminate because mental health doesn't.
Right. That's
doesn't.
facts.
It doesn't. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dom. What do you do in the space that relates to the topic today, being wealthy as fuck?
So I am an executive coach, but I didn't start here, right? I'm an ex-cop, prior military. I was in the military first. Then I became a cop. Then I got out, jumped into the corporate space, and kind of started to find my lane. I realized how easy it was to progress through there, and then how easy it was to make money. Because growing up poor, me, like most other black kids that look like me, I'm gonna hit six figures. I'm gonna hit six figures. Like that was the goal. And then you get there, you're like, I don't have all the things. Like this is not. It's a lot. It's work just for this little bit of money, and then I'm taxed differently. So when I was promoted through different companies and just moving up the corporate ladder, if you will, I had never. Entrepreneur was not something that was in my repertoire. It wasn't something that I talked about. And I never thought about it. But I saw my parents work a lot. They're both military and they had other jobs and they were self-employed. But I never saw it as being self-employed. I just knew that when I got home, I couldn't watch TV. I needed to do something to make money. That it wasn't making money was the goal. I work 9-10 hours a day. When I come home, instead of sleeping and watching TV, hanging out with idiots, how much more money can I make? And I even had a second job, and I was still coaching people and speaking. And then I realized you can get paid for it. And then to me, everything's a game. I'm not 42 now. Figured I'd be dead by 30. So the last 12 years have been like just gimme years. So I play with them, and things just have worked out. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But today, you take a kid that grew up stuttering and had Tourette's. I have a radio show that does very well. I'm a paid voice actor, which that wasn't planned. These are just things that opportunities come up because of the way I carry myself. And again, we'll talk about that during the show.
That's so interesting that you said the paid voice actor because I've been looking into that, and that's just one example of how you can really have passive income with your natural born gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that at the house. You can do that in a room, in a
closet,
secluded area. You know what I'm saying?
A poor person's studio, probably a better way of saying that. But you don't need to have money.
Not politically correct
No,
in this podcast.
I'm working on that. But you don't have. All you need is a little space. You can use a bathroom shower with some pillows in there and a good mic. You're good.
Put up some blankets, and you can make money off of that. People
Mhm.
make hundreds of dollars in an hour just doing something like that. And we'll get a little bit more into what passive income is, why it's important to know what that is, and how to create those different streams because we need it, especially if we want to be financially free.
And if you're feeling like you're already like playing catch up and trying to understand these things, a great investment to make is purchasing this journal, Empowered as Fuck, because we actually talk about assets, we talk about investments, we talk about liability. So you're getting some education not only through this podcast, but you'll have something tangible that you can utilize to refer to over and over again.
A good place for us to start, and this is where we start within the journal, is two things that are really important to know the difference between is assets and liabilities. Assets are things that you own that can make money for you. It's your money working for you while you're not even working on it. While you're asleep, your money is earning you more money. Liabilities are when you have obligations. So as soon as you purchase it, it depreciates, right? So bags, cars,
Homes.
when we purchase those, they lose value just because they have now been bought. So what we want to talk about is really knowing the difference between the two, because when we say financially free, that doesn't mean that we're rolling in thousands of dollars or, millions of dollars, because that's not the goal for everybody. Financially free is that if a mishap happens in your life, you're not overcome with stress because you don't have the money or the means to address whatever issue came up.
Absolutely. So I guess, the first thing that comes up for me is what does it mean to be wealthy?
That's a great question.
Wealth is different for everybody.
Wealth is different for everybody. Yes, there's a Webster definition for wealth. Let me just air this out. I am not a 7-figure earner. 6 figures, yes, but I'm moving in that direction. I define success as a feeling, not being monetary. So not to get too dark, as a police officer, I've gone to calls where a person who was a multimillionaire took their life. So would somebody define that as wealthy? I would not, right? Would they say it's successful? On the outside, yes. On the inside, no. So it's understanding that you can get to that point, but you have to be comfortable, not content with where you're at. And you have to know yourself. So I say it like this: if things get under your skin because of something that somebody says, you're currently not operating in the skin that you're in. And if you want to continue to make money, understand you can't do it on your own. It takes people, and random people will just walk up to you and give you business opportunities. It happens to me, I'm not gonna say all the time, but pretty often, right? And I know it happens to you guys. It's really, if you carry yourself, culturally, we're kind of taught to do this. Fake it till you make it, right? Things may not be going right at home, but you need to show up like a king or a queen when you step outside of the house, because you never want to miss out on opportunities. I tell people this: understand what the negative stereotypes are specific to your gender, your race, your ethnicity, and your background, and don't do any of them. Like, I can't be late ever.
Right.
For obvious reasons.
Right.
Right? So you have to find your own path. And I used to hate when people say that, but in order to do that, you have to know that you're comfortable with who you are. When I started the journey of being an entrepreneur, before I knew I was an entrepreneur, I was living in a studio apartment, sleeping in my closet, dealing with PTSD. Like, I had a bed and stuff, but every night I would come home and put notes on the wall, just because I knew I was creating something, and I was passionate about it, right? So that doesn't answer the typical what is wealth, because you have to understand who you are. Like, are you wealthy looking at yourself in the mirror? Can you say, I'm a wealthy person? Right? Can you compliment yourself? We were just talking about that. Yeah. And you have to start there, because if you don't, when you start making money, it'll change you. And I can tell you right now, when I got my first 6-figure car, yeah, it was cool, but it wasn't, in my mind, I was going to have this Diddy moment. Like, I was going to be out there in the whip, but I didn't. Like, it was like, okay, cool. I got work to do. The car is sitting in the garage. I have the things, but I loved myself so much to not let the dollar dictate how I'm going to holler. I just came up with that. Go
Hello,
ahead.
somebody. I like that. But you know what? That makes me think about just a really simplistic way of thinking, no matter what type of experience. I be laying this plan out every single episode. I'm
Black eyes
you,
and everything if it had eyes.
Laying it out. But that makes me just think about a really solid way to live is to never get too high and never get too low. Just continue to stay at a solid baseline.
Expect it. And what I think, why you expected to have a Diddy moment, but it didn't feel like that, is because you knew all the work that you put in to get to that moment, to where you expected that because you put in so much work. Right.
And I think that that's the difference. You know, sometimes we'll put in a lot of work and we have to expect the outcome. If we're not putting in the work, we're not going to get the outcome that we want, because
Absolutely.
Pray. What is it? Pray without work is dead. Prayer without work is dead. I guess that's the only one. I'm the only one who heard that one. So.
No, we're not gonna answer it because we don't know the exact answer.
It's like prayer without work is dead. Okay, let's move on.
Talk about
free labor,
right?
So no, I mean, I totally agree with both of your points, and I think when like I asked, what is wealth? That's a loaded question, right?
It is a loaded question.
We're talking about monetary wealth. We're talking about emotional wealth. We're talking about relational wealth. And trust and believe, we've coached clients who have called us with, they have stupid amounts of business, property. They're making a lot of money, and they feel as if they have little to no wealth, right? And so even though emotional wealth is very important in being able to love yourself and being able to function and being able to have relationships and really value them, we also understand the importance of financial support, right? And having that not even flexibility, just knowing you have it, right? And how that can contribute to feeling wealthy in your relationships, right? I'm capable of doing things with my friends, with my peers, with my partner, because I have the finances to do these things, right? I can go on the trips. I can buy them gifts. especially with the holidays just passing. I'll tell you one thing, a lot of the calls that we were getting were related to not having the ends to buy gifts, and we place so much value in it that it ends up kind of turning against us,
Right.
right? And so we really want to hold space and understanding that even though this particular area is focusing on financial WAP, right, feeling wealthy as fuck, you have to also have that emotional wealth as well, and building that with using the journal is a really good resource. Okay, another plug for this journal. All right.
Well, let me say something. You guys have put in a lot of work. I remember when I first started coaching you, um, it was taking all these ideas, shedding the fat, and really getting to the point of what it is you were wanting to accomplish. And you guys put in work after work. And one of the two were needing to see results immediately. And the other one was, okay, like, I'm going to put in the work. And I was coaching from a space of not just education. It was evident that I was very consistent with what I do because I post everything on social media. So I gave them an immediate blueprint of what they can do. And all the work that they put in 3 years ago, did you know you were going to have a journal? No, you didn't. But all of the knowledge that you learned along the way is what brought you to the point of this journal. So, and I'm bringing that up because oftentimes we have these ideas. The idea, this way I look at it, God might give you an idea to be implemented, but you're expecting a result, but it's just to give you that awareness of the half of that journey so that you can pivot to go down another road that's going to build an opportunity for you, but you don't know that it's there because you're so steeped in negativity in self and you lack value that if you were shown where you're going to be 10 years from now, it would shut you down.
That fear.
Because you're not ready for it.
And you know what I think happened, something that Doreen and I experienced, especially when we started to work with you, is that there's a level of fear when you're trying something new, and that's for anything. And there's a different level of fear that you have to face when you're going into entrepreneurship or learning how to make passive income, because that is a sense of using brain cells of being an entrepreneur that maybe you haven't been using if you've been working full time.
Oh yeah, it's a mind
private
shift.
sector.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
If
a
you've been
comfortable
working-
shift.
It's a very distinct way of thinking and being resourceful. And Doreen and I experienced that. And just like a small example was Dom told us, post every day. Because I'm gonna be as simplistic. Just post something every day.
She hated it.
I'm obviously the one that he needed to see the results right away. But Doreen and I, we would send each other quotes back and forth, back and forth for an hour, 2 hours in the morning, and about captions. Should we say this? Is this word good? Just really small things that really don't matter. But it was just the doubt of, is this good enough? And that really does stop people from reaching their potential, from moving, from hitting a different tax bracket,
Right.
from meeting new people that they
Right.
regularly would not have access to if they stayed in that comfort zone.
It forced us to think very differently from what we're used to and what we've been exposed to. And so, it all kind of ties back into, what does financial freedom look like? Can you even envision it? Do you even know where to start? And to be honest, we had an idea of what it was, but it wasn't until we started working with you that we were able to really expand on what that vision could look like and all these possibilities, and turning it into something that was real instead of a dream.
And I think what your audience, when they attach themselves to somebody that is like just 5 or 6 steps ahead of them, follow them. Don't follow somebody because you saw an ad in a book or on Facebook or on Instagram. Because what people don't realize is that when somebody says they just overnight made this and they're 30 years old, no, their 30 years of life happened, and then they realized who they were within a 5-year, 10-year period, and then they started striving towards that. I was listening to an episode with Rick Ross, and he was saying, I was writing songs and rap. I was rapping for 10 years before I saw a dime.
Right.
And then I started making money. It was 2012. He said, you thought I was rich. I didn't start making money until recently. So it's kudos to you two for really being, because I stretched you, right? But I was non-emotional because I saw you guys just like I saw my sister. Like, what would I want somebody to say to her? And it was, look, I'm doing it. Let me just show you some things. And if your coach doesn't piss you off, it's not the right coach for you.
That's right.
Safe bet.
That's right.
I would say the same as coach and counselor.
Yep.
Because
we're not your friend.
Mm-mm.
We're not your friend.
We're homies now.
I mean,
Yeah,
I was gonna say
right.
we are now though.
Yeah, no,
No,
we're good. We're going to the lake this weekend, so yeah, we're good now.
That's true. I'm talking to the folks that we're working with, right?
Yeah.
We're not here to be your friend. We're really here to guide you and support you and help you to help you grow.
Yeah.
And you can't do that if you're always, being showered in glitter and puppies and flowers. I don't
Right.
know how else to describe it.
Because we don't do that. We don't come from that
do
world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all meant to empower you, right? And so you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And one thing that is really uncomfortable to talk about is money.
It's only uncomfortable because of how we were brought up. Oftentimes, being because of your gender, race, religion. We view money as wrong, as an evil, and really what it is, you can't you don't dream big enough. You don't walk into the Benz dealership and sit down in the car to see if this is really what you want. You don't walk into the Lamborghini dealership to envision yourself sitting there. You're not patient for the purchases that you've been wanting since you were a child, right? You don't have non-negotiables in your life. You allow women, I'm talking to you. You allow any dude to talk to you because it validates you for 5 seconds, as opposed to making a list of what you want in your life and not moving until that list happens. So when you start establishing yourself, being comfortable in silence, going to the movies by yourself, vacationing by yourself in places that are safe, right? But being comfortable by yourself and then using the delete feature on your contact list and deleting 90% of the people in there so you can make room for fresh and new relationships. And I say this to people all the time. If the 5 closest people to you act like you, look like you, think like you, believe like you, and sound like you have not diversified your associations, and you will get the same results that you've gotten since you were a child. So you need to talk about being comfortable. The Jewish people think about money differently than my people think about money. Asians think about money different than I do. Hindu people think about money different than I do. So I make sure I surround myself with people that have different world or life experiences. So when I come up with an idea, I'm not talking to an ex-cop black male veteran who lived my experience.
Right.
I think that people tend to be less open about talking about money depending on what socioeconomic status they have.
Mm-hmm.
What I've noticed as I've been able to expand the people I'm around is people who are more wealthy, they view and they talk about money differently. It's less of a taboo conversation because it's like, okay, I know that you're financially good. I'm financially good. How can we get financially better while working together?
Right.
So there's less of like holding it close to the chest when you know how to manipulate money instead of money manipulating you.
Right. And I think it's not that they're uncomfortable. They're so caught up in Instagram and TV shows that their focus is on entertainment. Right? Their focus is on what's next, or I need a break. That's their focus. Most people don't even think about money. When I walk into a room, I think to myself, how much can I look at money as blocks. Every one block is $1,000. That's just how I see it in my head. So when I'm walking into a room, I'm playing Tetris in my brain, and I'll see a person, I'm like, okay, that's 3 blocks. That's 2 blocks. Oh, she is 15 blocks. I'm going to go talk to her. And when I go walk up to somebody, I've diversified my association, somebody different than me. I walk up, and I'm not thirsty, folks. I will walk up and say, I heard that you're in real estate. My wife is also interested in real estate. I would love to connect you two. Removed myself from that equation. The lady says, I would love to meet your wife. Why? Because every other dude that looks like me trying to holler at her. Nay.
You took out the creep vibe.
I did take out the creep vibe.
Yeah, you did.
Now, 2 months later, she's invited me to her house, and I was playing board games about money. I forgot the name of them. I've been to her house a couple different times. Then I interviewed her. After I interviewed her, she introduced me to her circle. And that was a 6-month game plan. But I knew that's what I want. I saw 15 blocks. Have I made money since then? Of course.
Yeah. Man, your network is your net worth, ain't it?
How you know how to talk to your network.
Right.
And add value.
Right.
You can add
Different.
value to a network without having money. when you diversify your association, like usually I'm the only black guy in the room. And I know that black is cool. But I show up
All
in
the
blazer
time.
and cowboy boots. So now I'm interesting. I'm like the black Chuck Norris. And then then I ask questions. People like to be validated. So I ask questions. Where'd you get your sweater from? Where are you from? I would love to learn more about you. And naturally, human beings are like puppies. They wag their tail and they just can't wait to tell you. And then they start peeing on your shoes.
Well, people love to talk about themselves.
Yes.
Yep.
And so you not that you manipulate that.
No,
but
it's manipulation
But it's
in a good way.
Well, it's
It is manipulation, but it's.
I don't think it's manipulation. I think it's a way to establish a connection, and you have your own formula of finding ways to establish a connection.
But also
right?
follow up. I send text messages on their
Right.
birthday. I call them out of the blue
Right.
just to say how you doing, right? I'm a friend.
And but the initial goal was get the 15 blocks. Right?
In my head, that's how
Right?
it's weird like that.
But when you're in a place of having emotional wealth, relational wealth,
Mhm.
financial wealth, you're capable of getting more out of it other than the 15 blocks. Now it's a friendship, right?
It is a
Now it's
friendship,
something
right.
Even more, yeah.
Because I went into it removing myself. How can I make these two people be work together?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Was your wife really into real estate at that time?
Yeah.
So it wasn't a lie.
No. I never lie. I'm very, because I can't go home. Like, hey, babe, this is what I need you to do.
Right.
I'm gonna need you. You guys
I
met my
need you-
wife. She's
No,
not.
she's not gonna do it.
No,
No.
she's not gonna do that.
No, but I think that's a really strategic way of approaching money and approaching
Mhm.
networking. So passive income.
Yeah.
Do you believe in it? What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, do I believe it? So let me look at it. Let me explain it like this. We all know what passive income is, right? I don't have a Webster's dictionary definition, but you have to take your talent and extrapolate every ounce of monetization from that. For example, my talent is my ability to speak. Podcast, I monetize my podcast. Radio show, monetize my radio show. I'm a speaker's coach. Why? And I get paid to do that. I speak on stages, right? I'm on TV. Everything I do, I make money, but it's just right. It's just my voice. Oh, I've been singing like this for years. Okay, can you teach people? All you need to do is know 1% more than the next person, and they'll pay you, right? Stop meeting, and this is a one-off. Stop meeting people for free. Stop meeting people for lunch. An in-person conversation should last no longer than 20 minutes. A phone conversation no longer than 7. Anything more than that, we're wasting time. If you're there to build a friendship, then we need to go have fun. But ladies especially, any dude that says they want to meet you, you're worth more than a chicken salad sandwich and a lemonade. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I heard that.
You can text me, and non-negotiables. Why would I meet you? I have no why, because I know your worth, and you won't meet them.
Big facts. Big facts.
See, but that's you're talking more about like in a romantic type of setting. You're talking about in a business.
No,
setting?
how many times? Case in point, how many times has a dude slid into your DM talking about, I would love to get to know more about what it is you do?
too
Oh,
many.
Yeah, but I
Too
don't.
many
Yeah,
times.
but I done picked up on that game.
Yeah, but not at first.
Who didn't?
Not in the beginning. Your first
Listen.
month on social media.
No.
Okay. Oh, see, because you
no,
didn't know.
But I never met up with anybody. But I think
You've been
that
invited.
yeah, I've been
You
invited.
shut him
but-
down.
Yeah, I shut him down.
There it is.
I let him know, listen, this is a business account strictly. If you want to talk business, we can talk business here. We can set up a call. We can set up, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But there are definitely men who will try to weasel in there
Oh, yeah.
through business and try to get a little pleasure.
I think the point here is that not many women understand how to do that or have
Right.
just even have a base to start with in being able to focus on what their goal is out of this, right? Why
let's
would
talk
I
about
respond to them? What can I get out of this? How can I say it in a way that doesn't push them away, but also it doesn't hurt me, right?
Right.
And so, when we're talking about passive income, when we're talking about building things, it takes wins and losses, right? And so, I speak from personal experiences going to those meetings, right? Those business meetings, and
Mhm.
finding out that they, in fact, were never a business meeting, even though it was sold as such,
Right.
right? And so, the nice thing about it is that you go through these experiences, you grow from them, and then you have to adapt and attack, right? Figuring out a different type of strategy. So when we're talking about passive income, if let's do like a scenario.
Scenario.
Okay,
Break
let's
it
do a
down.
scenario. So let's say I just got out of a relationship. It's the
Mhm.
pandemic, right? 2020 really destroyed my marriage. I'm now divorced, and my job before I was divorced was a stay-at-home parent. What would be a passive income that I could explore?
You can watch kids. Trust me, I have a son that's working from home. Gets on my last nerve. So if you start reaching out to, um, y- people put all their business on social media, single parent workers, and say, I'm in your neighborhood. I watch kids from this time to this time. That's money, right?
That's a
That's
good one.
easy money,
And it's a skill.
right?
Watching
Yeah.
kids is not easy.
No, it's not. And if you've
Those
had
are
your own
taking.
kids, you've educated them. So now you can help them with their math, right? You can add onto that. Hey, if you're not here by 5 and you want me to help them with their homework, this is the additional charge.
Yeah.
What would be another stream of income that they could look into?
So you understand what your passions are. I could say drop shipping. I could say real estate. I could say social media. I've grown social media channels, right? You have to stop watching TV, so you can be open to. It's weird. These money airwaves come in, and these ideas hit you. The problem is you don't it doesn't register because you want to go back to sleep. Stop watching TV, right? Start eating right, and then your psyche or your subconscious becomes more open to opportunity. So you might see something like my clients pay me $2,000 a month to manage a handful of Instagram accounts. I don't market myself as a guy that does that, but that's easy. That's passive income because I have it automated now. So outside of daycare, let's say you are a single mom. Stop mentioning the fact that you're a single mom. I hear that all the time. My name's Deborah and I'm a single mother. That don't pay you? Shut up. Like, for what? Nobody cares. Right? I don't say my name's Dom. I'm an ex-cop. What am I doing now? Like, how can I benefit you? I'm a leadership speaker. I'm an executive coach. So let go of the past. So we can talk about passive income. It's 2021. There's a million passive income ideas. You can start a podcast, charge people to be on your podcast. I charge $1,500 to $1,700 for somebody to come on my radio show. But when you come on my radio show, I got 3 cameras. I have a team that edits my content, right? I pay them pennies on the dollar because they're overseas, and I help build your credibility. Why? Because I have 5 more followers than you do. So you're enamored by that, right? But even the radio show host, like, I didn't know you could do that. Stop speaking the negative. I lost my husband. He cheated on me. You probably cheated on yourself well before he ever cheated on you.
Ooh,
That's something.
it really is.
My man in the back is rubbing his chin like, yo.
So you're saying find what you're skilled at, what you're good at, and monetize that
Right. Just add the
in
first,
multiple different ways.
but just do it once. Because the first time somebody wanted to coach me, like I had just read a book or I wanted me to be their coach. I read a book, something about time management. And I said, look, man, I'm not going to talk to you for free. And I just needed my gym membership paid for. I said, I'm going to have to charge you $30 a month, but we can talk an hour a week. And he said, okay. I was so excited because I could do it. Like somebody's going to pay me. They're just going to pay Dom Fausette just to be Dom Fausette. That $30 a month for 12 months did more for my value of self than the money I make now. Like, wow, like he really finds me important. And sometimes we're at that level in our life that we just need somebody to find us important. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then I increased. I doubled it, $60 a month. And then I was like, yo, this is too easy. Then I went to $250 a month. And then I, at the time, rode a Ducati 1199. I went to $1,199. And then people would ask, why is it so expensive? And I said, what drew you to me? Where'd you come up with 1199? I race Ducatis. Now they're interested.
Right.
Play with the
Right.
money.
The first time one of my first coaching clients, I gave him my, consulted, whatever. I gave him my price. And on the first call, he said, why is that your price? I said, because it's very much what I'm worth. The service that I put into this, I put in the work, I'm trained. This is at bare minimum what I'm worth for this hour. He's like, oh, all right, cool. I said, maybe I should double it.
Cha-ching.
No. So did you double it?
No, I haven't doubled it.
After today, you will.
That's right.
You guys should have got me before today. What is it?
Facts.
11? What?
It doesn't
112?
matter today. Yeah,
But it is though. There's a moment of aha when you realize that people will pay you for what you're good at and what you genuinely like to do.
I'm gonna if you're ever in that position, I'm talking to your audience, the last question you want to ask during your consultation, one of the last questions is, imagine we're sitting in a coffee shop 6 months from now, and I've coached you for the last 6 months. What does your life look like? And they go into, like, they start answering, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, because you're going to use that information in the wrap up. Because a consultation call, I charge for my consultations, but a consultation call goes like this. It's 80% questions. So you're asking questions about the person. 10% your experience, and 10% testimonials. The mistake that most people, we're talking money, you can charge for a consultation, but most people get on a call and they give the bank away. They give away the store because they're excited to be on the phone.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
And you start on time and you stop on time.
that's right.
Dropping gems. All right, let's get into the final section.
Hit me.
Section of this podcast. Questions.
Answers.
All right, we've got questions for Dom. So what we have done is on our Instagrams at Deanna Bledsoe and at Darina Bledsoe, and on the business account at Empower El Mundo, we poll you guys. So we ask you guys questions, yes or no's. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I like this.
So
Hot seat.
we do that so that we can gather evidence and gather research about what does the public say? What are some of the issues? And so something that I found, I wrote it in my journal so that I could, report correctly. But a lot of you guys, a lot of us, we work full time. Yes, the answer to that was 100% yes. We work full time. About 80% of us have side hustles, and 100% of us have experienced being broke, which is incredibly insane because nobody's not working, but everybody is broke. When the question was asked about, have you ever experienced wealth? 1% of those people who answered the poll said yes. So a lot of us are working, and it's like we're working to cancel out the money. So we're working and it's coming back, and we're putting out the money, paying for stuff, whatever, and it's coming back to zero. So we're not experiencing wealth. We're just kind of experiencing nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Contentment.
We're on autopilot.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to get you guys out of, is autopilot, meeting these expectations that really you can change. If you created these expectations, then you have the power to change them.
And really the biggest thing with that is when the question was posed of, would you rather your side hustle to be your full-time job? It was 50%. That means that there's a lot of fear that goes into that.
50% said yes. I was expecting 100% would say yes.
That's what I was expecting. But what that makes me think is why would people not want their side hustle, which is probably something they're really good at or passionate about? Why would they not want to only focus on that?
Fear. It goes back to that fear,
Well,
right?
they're calling it a side hustle. That's the first mistake.
Yeah, that's true.
So let me just share with you
Manifestation?
what I do. No. Because if you're putting in work, you're actually doing the work. I used to work a 9 to 5, and I'm just using those numbers. I probably started earlier. In the morning, we all have a routine. I would wake up, I would shower, I would shave, I would get dressed, I would put on my suit, I would go to work. So when I came home, knowing that I was running a business or trying to do something, I would have stuff everywhere. I would come home, I would lay down for 5 minutes, set my alarm for 5 minutes. It would go off, just like my alarm does in the morning. I would shower, I would shave, and I would put on work attire. So not necessarily a full suit, but slacks, socks, shoes, my smell goods, and a nice button-up shirt. I would go to my kitchen table, and by the time I got to my kitchen table, my brain couldn't register what was happening because my brain was accustomed to me coming home and just going out to the gym or doing something. And now here I am. My brain's like, he's doing the same stuff he would do in the morning. It must be the morning. So my brain goes into, we got to use these morning brain cells, and it would reactivate, as you guys might call it, your second wind. It would reactivate those brain cells, and I would work on my business 2 hours every night, Monday through Friday. And I did that for about 4 years before I left my corporate job. I had a great job, by the way, and I would do it now. But I knew where I was going. So I had non-negotiables. So the question, one, stop calling it a side hustle. This is my business. And we start calling it a business, you start listening to business-minded people as opposed to following side hustle people on social media. So, for example, I learned this in my business while I was working. I would work, and then I had a business. So I had my EIN. Everything was registered. I'm not an accountant. But let's say you do hop on a call for free. You create an invoice. And say you charge $500 for that call. You get your potential client, to sign that. You zero it out. So they're not paying anything. But when you take that invoice to your accountant at the end of the year, you have lost wages, or you have lost income from your business. And now, instead of you being taxed in all the areas that you're going to be taxed in your job, it balances it out. The first time I did this, I got a $25,000 income tax return. I was like, and some old dude in line at my job was like, "Yeah, man, all you got to do is just do." I'm like, "All you got to do," but I was open to not talk, keep your mouth shut, listen. And that little tidbit put money in my pocket that allowed me to invest into ad spend. It allowed me to invest in my brand. I spent $75,000 in my brand before I left my job, because I knew the importance of branding. Because I know, what are we attracted to culturally? Brands, gender specific brands, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So if we're attracted to brands, why wouldn't our potential clients be attracted to our brand? You got to put money where your heart is, where your eyes draw to, is where you got to put your money. That's where your audience is going to draw to.
Yeah. People don't like to read about stuff. They don't want to hear it. They want to see it. Right?
People pay for consistency.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And branding's a big part of it. One of the questions that came up was, how do you talk about building wealth to family? Right. So let's say, so this one is in the sense of, I'm a parent and I have kids. How do I even start this conversation?
You just start it. You change what you watch. You change what your kids' experiences are. I grew up gangbanging. I grew up in the Inland Empire, Southern California, and we didn't have, like, there were times the heater didn't work. There were times that it would rain outside, the water would come inside. But it was my mom taking us to these new builds and saying, "Look, I understand that we live in the hood right now, but you have one or two options. You can do what your boys are doing, who are getting murdered, selling dope, and going to prison, or you can build your life and eventually one day live in this neighborhood." And it dawned on me the other day. My wife and I just purchased a home. This same area, when I was in high school, I would run through there because I ran cross country, and this is where all the rich kids lived. Now I'm in there, and there ain't no rich kids in there, but it's what I see. And when I was a kid, I remember going down a hill and I saw a garage with a Porsche and a Ducati in there. And I was 12. I said, one day I'm going to have that. And I didn't buy a motorcycle until I could afford a Ducati. But check this out. The day I went to buy my Ducati, I had to put it on pause because I just met this gal. And that gal is now my wife. We bought Ducatis together. She bought one. I bought one. We now race Ducatis together. Like, that's just dope on so many different levels.
Cute.
But it's my willingness to have non-negotiables and wait for, like, the vision that I had. And I would get people out of my life, but understand this: 80% of the people in your life when you first starting out should be in a position to help you out, and 20% of the people in your life you should be helping back. Like, you should give back, right? I didn't watch TV. I didn't buy my first TV until 8 years ago. And I went for years without watching TV. Why? Because I knew what running to Safeway with the prepaid electricity card was. Like, that was me 7 years ago, driving a Hyundai Accent. But I was happy because the AC worked. Because prior to that, I had a minivan that would break down at every stoplight. My garage don't look like that now, but I knew where I wanted to go. And I spent my last dime on suits because I knew how important branding was. I talk about that in my book, Think, React, Lead, when success and accomplishments aren't enough. When I say I used to tell my son, "Hey, man, be quiet, chill here, chill in the house, lock the door, don't let nobody in. Daddy's got to run a mile because he don't have no gas money to go put this $5 on his prepaid electricity card." So, because you know how it is, you wake up and it's that weird silence, like the refrigerator ain't on kind of silence. Don't open the refrigerator, nobody. We got meat in there. We just went grocery shopping. Right?
Yeah.
But it's knowing that you're going to come out of that.
Believing it. right? Believing it, because it's
Mhm.
going to happen. You'll be able to see it. And one thing that just kept coming up to me, the word was vision, right? And so, you said it, and I had to turn to the page in the journal that says visions are seen only by those meant to achieve them. So you have to believe it.
And stop telling everybody your business, but I'm sure that wasn't in the journal, but I'm just going to throw that
Look,
out there.
put that
Yep.
business in here,
Mhm.
right? Put that in here. You got to get it out. Put it on.
And
paper.
don't expect your family to support you because they've known the failure you forever. You need to support you before anybody else is expected to support you, and that includes family. Don't be mad at them because they didn't support you. They've known you since birth. Like, just support your doggone self.
Yeah.
So it starts and it ends with you.
All day.
Yeah, it is.
All day.
You know?
And when you get lost, that's why you have different types of supports, right? Sometimes family isn't going to be the best one. It can be friends. It can be people that you reach out to at a networking event that you all of a sudden become friends with,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's being open to the journey. And sometimes the path that you thought you were supposed to take takes you on a left turn, and it's beautiful. And it's the part of achievement that you've been waiting for. But you have to be willing to take those steps.
Right.
And it's so hard to do it when you're afraid and you don't know what it looks
Do
like.
it afraid. Embrace the suck. Keep moving.
Embrace it, right? Easier said than done. That's why we got y'all here today listening to this, because we want you guys to understand that this is a part of the journey. We want to normalize it for you. If you're feeling it, that means this is the right direction. Keep going.
Facts.
Well, that was dope.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. It's such a pleasure to have you, Dom. We want to
Likewise.
have you back. Where can the people find you?
Dom Faucette. Everything's Dom Faucette. Google me, and you'll see everything. I paid for somebody to fix my Google images, right? Because when you put my name in, you need to see only what I allow you to see.
All me and only me.
Yep.
That's right.
So that's where you can find him. If you guys are wanting to purchase your own journal, if you haven't yet, we still have a couple left. So it is limited. So go to www.bledsoeempower.com and it's there. It's ready for you. If you guys go to our social medias at Deanna Bledsoe,
At Darina Bledsoe.
you guys can click the link in the bio and it's there. We are excited to get it out to you guys. So thank you.
Thank
Like,
you.
share, subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. See you
Thank
in the
you.
flippity flop.
Dorks.
Wow, that's that age.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. The hair bun's too tight. But anyways.
It's all my secrets.
Your sister
right
wants to say
here.
something. Your sister, she's dying to say something right now.
I'm trying to read what the producer's telling me.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the music.
You got to be in power.
Oh, there it is.
That one didn't hit.
Right. Okay. Okay. It's all good.
Uh,
I'm not gonna dance
Why not?
because I boogie.
Well, Boogie,
Hey.
you gotta be empowered.
Live empowered. You
Oh.
can hit a little.
No, I'm good. You guys are.
You want to act like he's not with it, but we are.
He does the little chow.
Oh
Man,
my
his little
god!
hip
Really?
store
We had to
chow.
bring the chow in at the end of the CIA.
Is
But
that
anyway.
a nickname?